Chapter 2. The Night Calls. Prudence locked doors and windows. Nobody's house had been broken into since she'd returned home, but she wasn't going to take any chances. She didn't want to be surprised in the middle of the night by any visitors. "Why should I make it easy for anybody with bad intentions to waltz in here?" she'd asked Constance. Constance had mocked her for being paranoid, but she didn't care. She would do everything to keep herself safe. If anybody tried to sneak inside, she would be waiting for them with her machete. Before she crawled under her brown cotton blanket with its gold embroidery, she sat in the chair beside her bed to read her Bible verses, the last thing that she did every night. She'd written out 10 verses from the Bible that talked about patience. The first one she read was from Galatians 6 verse 9. "Let us not be weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." If Constance were standing outside her door, she would have curled her lips, Prudence thought. She dismissed that thought and trailed her forefinger down her list to the second reading. She read the words but realized that she was not hearing what she read. She started over, but as soon as she read a few words, her mind wandered. She placed the Bible with her sheet of paper on her bed and exited her room. Constance should be in her room, she told herself as she hobbled downstairs. She'd not bothered to switch on the lights upstairs, so she felt her way through the gloom. She reached the bottom of the stairs and turned right to the lighted passageway. Her feet slowed as she neared Constance's bedroom door. They'd never gone to bed angry with each other before, no matter how much they'd quarreled. She wouldn't allow that. The door was ajar. She knocked. "In there and not answering me. Not a come in or go away. I sure she not sleeping. I never see a woman can keep malice like that, Constance." Her voice occupied the passageway. She waited to hear Constance lash out at her. No words came. She pursed her lips and shoved open the door. Darkness greeted her. Everything was quiet, except for the sounds of the croaking lizards and the crickets outside the bedroom window. She felt along the side of the wall by the door for the light switch and flicked it. The bed, draped in its pale pink sheets, stood in the center of the room, undisturbed. Prudence walked further into the room. Everything was in place as usual, except that Constance was not there. She'd said that she was going to bed. Where was she? Prudence peered into the closet. She hadn't expected Constance to be there, but she'd looked anyway. She turned on the bathroom light and looked inside. Everything gleamed. She backed out of the bathroom and stifled a scream. Something had touched her leg. Another touch and she skipped forward, almost smashing her face into the door jamb. She spun around, her eyes searching the floor. She saw nothing. Her eyes flitted from left to right and back. Something touched her again from behind. A blood-curdling scream escaped her, followed by the meowing of the cat. Its cries settled her heart. "Colonel, you crazy? You almost gave me a heart attack." Colonel meowed and stared up at her. She stooped and scooped him into her arms. When she'd settled him, she wagged her right forefinger at his face. "I tell you over and over again not to creep up on me. Where is your owner?" Colonel meowed again and looked towards the door. Was he telling her that Constance was outside? Or was he asking to be put outside? Constance's door opened onto the front veranda. Prudence ambled towards it with Colonel nestled in her arms. She tested the door. It swung open and Colonel leapt from her arms and merged with the darkness. She shivered and slammed the door. Was Constance outside? She locked the door, tested it and exited the room the way she'd come. She flicked light switches on and off as she searched downstairs. Constance was not in any of the rooms, nor was she out on the back veranda. And if she was out in the yard, she didn't respond to her calls. "That Constance," she said, as she dragged herself back up the staircase. "Everybody has a cross to bear and she is my cross." She let go of her annoyance as swiftly as it came on. She remembered that she shouldn't allow anything Constance had done, anything Constance did or anything Constance would do to annoy her. She'd promised herself. It was a promise that she renewed every day and intended to keep. She searched all the rooms upstairs. Constance was not in the house. She threw her arms in the air. What should she do? Constance. Her wavering voice zigzagged through the house and escaped outside. There was no answer. What kind of game was Constance playing? What was wrong with her? Imagine she decided to go out and never said a word to me. I would not do that to her. I have never done that to her before. She must be losing her blasted mind. Prudence's words bounced off the walls as she tramped back to her bedroom. Inconsiderate. Unconscionable. She changed into her street clothes and returned to the staircase. These blasted stairs, she said. She could tolerate climbing the steps that led up to the house, but she couldn't tolerate climbing up and down stairs inside her own house. She'd done that when she was younger. She shouldn't have to do it when she was old. Downstairs, she tramped to the back door. The bolt grated on her nerves as she pulled it back. She half opened the door. The darkness at the edge of the circle of light threatened her. She grabbed her machete from behind the door and stepped out onto the veranda. Constance was out there somewhere. Doing what? No church was having a crusade. Except for some young boys, only cats, dogs, and goats roamed the streets at night. What could get into Constance's head for her to go out into this pitch-black night? Because she was upset that I talked to her, she'd take up herself and gone in the darkness. We go for a walk, sometimes, but tonight is no night for walking. Who purposely go walking when it is dark night? Why would Constance go walking without me? At least she could say, "Dog, I'm going to get some fresh air." But no. Nothing. Just up and gone. Suppose anything happened to her out there? Words popped in and out of Prudence's head while her eyes tried to pierce the darkness beyond the glow of the fluorescent bulb. She took several deep breaths in a bid to calm her heart. She was not scared, she told herself. She just didn't like darkness, unless she was sleeping. Anything could be lurking out there. The worst part was not being able to see it until it was too late. She straightened her cap, turned on her flashlight and reined in her imagination. She descended the steps to the yard into a world of chirping crickets, croaking lizards, and errant fireflies flitting about, piercing the darkness at intervals. She kept her eyes on the objects that she could see and exited the gate. The machete that she clutched in her right hand was her walking stick to steady herself as she descended the steps that led down to the road. Why, Lord? Why? Why did Constance decide to leave the house at this time of night? Sending me into the night air to catch cold. Rain could start any minute. How would I manage? I forgot to take the umbrella. But I couldn't even take it if I wanted to. I have only 2 hands. I going tell that Constance some things when I see her tonight. You see, how can one person be so selfish? She paused on the last step and breathed in and out, before stepping down onto the road.